What's going on? Play Game here, back with another Epic 7 video, and today we're going over the balance adjustment to the 5-star Covenant hero Hwayoung. Yes, it looks like Hwayoung is getting some nerfs, and is she getting nerfed to the ground? That's what we're going to find out, because you know what happens when Epic 7 or Smilegate decides to nerf units. If you've been here since the very beginning, or at least close to it, you know they like to nerf heroes to the ground. So let's see what happens here. Okay, so Hwayoung was a unit, or still is, a 5-star Covenant hero. She's a fire elemental, and if you've played at all any form of PvP in Epic 7, you know that she is a menace. She can one-shot almost every unit in the game, from tanks to squishies, right? So there is no getting around Hwayoung. So that's why they started releasing a few counters to her. If you do play RTA, she's almost permaban, right? Unless you have very specific units to be able to deal with her, it is pretty tough. One of those being Apocalypse Ravi, right? So Apocalypse Ravi is another unit that was very, very strong, and still is a very, very strong PvP hero. Even in PvE, I think she's pretty much a raid boss. But they released Hwayoung to counter very tanky bruisers, right? To be able to deal with someone like Apoc Ravi or any other bruiser or tank, to kind of get rid of that tank meta, right? But it turned out to where she was just super oppressive and can one-shot every single unit in the game. And, you know, for the most part, she's a lot of fun if you're playing with her, but it feels bad when she just one-shots every single unit on your team. And then the big thing about her is that she cycles incredibly fast back to her skill 3. We could just one-shot another unit. And so that's kind of her thing, right? She cycles very, very fast, can be built tanky, has a lot of damage mitigation. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do. Okay, so here's Supersonic Kick. All right, so Supersonic Kick is her S1. This is what gives her that increased combat readiness. So every time she S1s, she gives herself a 15% combat readiness boost. And then on top of that, so that's first making her cycle faster, right? Cycle faster to her S3 so that she can one shot again. But then she also procs additional damage regardless of whether or not she hits. So sometimes you can miss on a unit depending on like elemental advantage and if there's like evasion and stuff. But with her current kit, she just deals additional damage regardless of whether she misses or not. And the thing about her Supersonic Kick, so her S1, is that a lot of people run Uberia's Tooth. And so Uberia's Tooth has up to, if you have it fully maxed out, 100% chance to deal additional damage based on the unit's attack. And so Hwayoung has incredibly high attack, right? 7k or more attack. And so that additional damage can pretty much one-shot very squishy units, right? If not, take like 50% of their HP or close to it. So that's kind of her thing as well, is Uberia's Tooth, right? But let's see. What did they do to her Supersonic Kick? Okay, after attacking the enemy with a kick, when the caster is buffed, a successful attack inflicts additional damage. Okay, so it looks like they removed the combat readiness. So, I mean, I think that's fine, right? Damage dealt is increased on the Supersonic Kick, but they're reducing the additional damage that she deals. And I mean, I think that's fine. I think the main problem here, though, is Uberia's Tooth, right? Because she has insanely high attack. And so Uberia's Tooth is the one that's dealing that additional damage that can pretty much just one-shot units if they're very, very squishy. So let's take a look at her passive, right? Prairie Hawk. Her attack increases by 50% when attacking. Now its attack increases by 30%. So they're reducing the amount of attack she's getting from her passive by 20%. That's a huge difference. And it might not seem like a lot, but it's gonna be a pretty big effect in game for her to have such low attack. It's gonna take even more gear. I don't even think that many people will be able to run her at like 7K or more. I think the new benchmark after this is probably going to be what, like 5.5, 6, maybe 6.5 if you have like really cracked gear or something like that. But man, that 30% is a feels bad. So they're reducing the amount of attack she has by her passive. They're reducing the additional damage on her S1. Let's see what they do with her S3. So Monarch's Flaming Strike. So her S3 was insane. It still is insane. Whenever they decide to implement this, you know, we'll see how good she is. But her Monarch's Flame, so her skill 3, attacks the enemy with a secret technique and grants immunity to the caster for 2 turns. And this just penetrates the target's defense. When the target's max health is greater than the caster's max health, the damage dealt increases proportional to the difference up to a maximum of 100%. So there was no condition on penetrating the target's defense, right? So this skill always penetrates the target's defense. The only thing that matters here is that the target's health, right? The damage dealt increases proportional to the difference. So meaning that if you're hitting a target that has higher health than she does, it's going to deal more damage, right? But she's always going to penetrate defense as is right now. But with the nerfs, it looks like she's still getting the immunity for 2 turns. But when the target's max health is greater than the caster's max health, penetrates the target's defense. So you see the difference there? So now the penetrates defense is conditional to the opposing unit having a higher health pool. And I mean, I think this just makes her like better against bruisers, right? Better against units that have high attack. And then with the penetration rate increasing proportional to the difference up to a maximum of 100%. So it looks like they changed the damage dealt increasing to the penetration rate increasing. So you can penetrate up to 100% if they have a higher health pool than she does, right? So I don't know if this is going to completely make her useless. I mean, she'll be good against bruisers, right? That was, in my opinion, her main purpose for existing, right? To be good against bruisers, but then she was good against every single unit. But they're increasing the damage that the S3 does, and the required max health difference is also increased. So that, and then they're adding a 1-turn cooldown. So that just makes it even more difficult to deal a lot of damage with her S3, right? They're reducing her attack. They're changing how she penetrates defense, right? It has to be against a bruiser. And then they have to have a huge health pool. So does this pretty much just NERFED make her unusable? I think it might. And they're adding a 1-turn cooldown. Okay, so I'm fine with the 1-turn cooldown. I think that's completely fine. I'm fine with the penetrating the target's defense, you know, if they have high HP, right? Her purpose, again, in my opinion, was to be good against bruisers, right? But this just pretty much makes it so that she's only good against bruisers. And after she goes with her S3, she's pretty much useless, right? Because she's not going to do any damage on the S1. She doesn't have high attack for her S2. Her barriers are also going to go down, right? Because the barriers, we didn't go over that, but her barriers for her passive scale off of her attack. So that's actually going to make her barriers even smaller, reduce her survivability in game. So, I mean, for the most part, I'm up for nerfs, but I think that it should have been, you know, something gradual, right? Like, I think her biggest problems are she gets a full cleanse, right? We didn't talk about that. She gets a full cleanse on the S3. She gets a huge barrier and she gets immunity, right? And then she has a very low cooldown on the S3. I'm fine with her, you know, one-shotting units. Okay, fine, whatever. But, you know, maybe remove the full cleanse, right? The full cleanse on the S3. Maybe reduce her shield, right? To make it a little bit less, you know, reduce the amount of damage that she, because her passive which we didn't really talk about as well, has a lot of other things. So let's actually look at it, okay? So not only does her passive give her an attack increase by 30% now, right? But when she gets hit, the damage suffered from a critical hit decreases by 30%, right? So she's getting an attack increase, decreasing damage suffered by 30%. She gets a full cleanse on the S3. She gets immunity, and then she grants a barrier for 1 turn, and her barrier increases proportional to her attack. So there's already a lot in her kit. I think they could have changed that, right? Her damage suffered from a critical hit. I think they could have reduced that maybe down to like 15%, right? 15%. The attack, fine. They want to reduce the attack. I would have done maybe like a 40%, or, you know, maybe let's say 35%, because this is going to make it very difficult to use her now. Yeah, you know, she still has that full cleanse on the S3, damage mitigation, that stuff, but she's not going to do her job, right? At least on paper, this to me seems like after she goes with the S3, if she doesn't kill, that's it. She's pretty much just a dead unit on your team. So I mean, she was already a permaban unit, but maybe now she's not permaban. Maybe now we're not afraid to play grass units, right? Without banning her in RTA. But, you know, for the most part, I think it's, you know, I'm up for nerfs. I'm completely fine with it. It's just the way that they nerf sometimes is just they make units unusable. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. You know, we are going to get, I believe, 5-star selector for this recall. So you will be able to exchange Hwayoung via a recall. You're not going to get any like Covenant coins, but usually what they do is with the recalls, they give you the recall ticket, and then you're able to select another 5-star RGB unit. So, you know, rip to all of us that picked Hwayoung from that Azarin Foundation selector, right? But if you gave her any slates or any imprints, you'll be able to get those back. If you did get slates though, if you did imprint her with slates, you will have to contact the customer service in order for you to get those back, because they're going to give them back as these, I don't know, special slates. And so these mana slates, I think that's what they're calling them. And you can't use those on Moonlight Heroes. So if you did give her just those regular slates that we get in game and you want those back, you will have to contact them so you can get some more of those. And so you'll be able to choose if you did imprint Hwayoung with other Hwayoungs, you'll be able to get those Hwayoungs back. I think I have an extra Hwayoung, so what I'll probably do is just recall the one that I'm not using, and then just choose another RGB that maybe I don't have, or just get an imprint. But this is going to be scheduled for October 27th. So you have from now until October 27th to enjoy Hwayoung as is before she gets nerfed to the ground. But that's going to be my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Is this well-deserved, or is this just a symptom of a bigger problem? Mainly APOC Ravi, right, is another unit that, you know, she's incredibly strong. I think that, you know, by nerfing the units around her is just going to make APOC Ravi a menace again, if not already. Right? But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like always, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hey, think about subscribing. It really helps the channel grow and reach more people like you who like content like this. Like always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.